Okay, so a pair of parallelograms are similar. Which statements are true about the parallelograms must be true? Select 3 correct answers. The corresponding sides of parallelograms are congruent. So if they're similar, it means we're going to have one smaller one and one larger one. So the sides are not going to be congruent. They're both quadrilaterals. Well, they're both parallelograms. So, yep, they're both quadrilaterals. The corresponding angles must be congruent. Yes, if they're similar, angles are congruent. Angles never change. The corresponding angles must be proportional. Nope, we just said they're congruent. Side lengths must be proportional. Yes, angles are congruent. Side lengths are proportional. That is what you must know. So the distance across Narnia from east to west is approximately 500 miles. A map using a scale of 1/4 inch represents 20 miles. Find the measurement closest to the scale distance in inches across Narnia from east to west on the map. Okay, when we are setting up our proportion, it's always the ratio they gave me. So the ratio they gave me was 1/4 of an inch is 20 miles. And then what other information did they tell me? Well, 500 miles. It's miles, so it goes on the bottom. To go from 20 to 500, we are going to be, 20 times 4 is 100. So I'm probably going to do, 20 times 5 is 100. So let's do 20 times 25. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times, add a 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 2 is 4. Yep, it's going to be 25. So if I multiply by 25 on the bottom, I'm going to multiply by 25 on the top. So we have 25 hundredths times 25. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12, add a 0 as a placeholder. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I get 625. I have 2 decimal places to move. So it is 6 1/4 inch on the map. 6 25 hundredths. Okay, find the length of DE. So DE is down here at the bottom. Okay, so DE is that bottom. So it's going to match with SR because that's the bottom of the smaller triangle. And then over here, we have our side length that is FR is going to match with the whole side length FE. Okay. So I'm going to redraw these as our smaller triangle and our larger one. So this is FSR, and then we have FDE. And then I know the larger one is this whole length, which is 143. I don't know what the bottom is. That's what I'm looking for. I know this is 44, but I need this side length FR. Well, if this total is 143 and RE is 91, to find that missing piece, I'm going to do 143 minus 91. 3 minus 1 is 2. I can't take 9 away from 4, so 14 minus 9 is going to get me 5. So FR is 52. Alrighty, so now I have enough information to set up our proportions. So we're going to say we're comparing the bottoms. So 44 is the bottom of the small shape compared to X. And then our side length, we have 52 and 143. Okay, well, I can't go from 52 to 44 or 143, so I'm going to cross multiply. 52 times X gets me 52X. 52x is equal to, then I need to do 143 times 44. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Add a 0 as a placeholder. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. 4 times 1, add them together. This is 6292. 6,292. And then I'm going to divide that by 52 to solve for X. I've run out of space, so I'm just going to add a sticky note here. So 6292 divided by 52. 52 goes into 62 one time. 1 times 52 is 52. Subtract, I get 10. bring down the 9. 52 goes into 109 2 times. 52 times 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 5 is 10, so that's 104. And subtract, I get a 5, bring down the 2, 52 goes into 52 one time, I get 52. So x is 121, so my side length DE is 121. Okay. Which of the following sets of side lengths would create a similar triangle as the one shown below? So basically, whenever you get a question like this, you're trying to see what I can multiply to get, I have to be multiplying by the same number to produce these numbers. So to go from, let's see, 42 to 168, let's go ahead and divide and see what I multiply by. 40, oops. My bad. We're going to do 168 divided by 42. 42 goes into 168. Let's see if we can do 4 times 42. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. So it is 4 times. Well, 4 times 42 may be 168, but I don't think 4 times 84 is going to be 168. So this doesn't make sense. This one, it looks like I divided by something. So 84 divided by 7 is 12. 70 divided by 7 is 10. But 42 divided by 7 is not 7, so that doesn't work. 126. Okay, let's see if I multiply 42 times 3. Times 3, I get 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 4, so that is 126. Let's see, 70 times 3, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, now let's do 84 times 3, 3 times 4 is 2, it's 12, carry the 1, 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1, it should be 252, so C doesn't work, so hopefully this works. 84 divided by 2 is 42, 70 divided by 2 is 35, 42 divided by 2 is 21, so this is the side length that matches. Basically, you're seeing what can I multiply all of these by the same number to produce these numbers. Okay, it says find the measure of TV. So here we can see our shapes are kind of flipped around. If I flip them back, we have our longest side here, 14. This 14 is going to match with this TV, okay? And then if I have my two sides here, these are the two bottoms, those match with each other. So I'm going to set up my proportion. We have MV over LV would have to match with TV and VU. MV is this side length. It's on the same page as TV. LV is the blue one and VU is the blue one. So I'm going to set up my proportions here. I know MV is 14, LV is 8, and then we have X over 28. So I'm going to simplify this because I can. I can divide both these by 2, so this is 7 and this is 4. I can go from 4 to 28 by multiplying by 7. So I'm going to multiply by 7 on the top, so TV is 49. All right, Peter is building a scale model of the stone table. The actual stone table is a rectangle that measures 600 meters in length and 480 meters in width. The first thing I'm going to do is draw a picture here. So we have 600 meters in length and we have 480 meters in width. And then I have a scale model that has a length of 30 centimeters and I want to know the perimeter. Okay, well, to know the perimeter, I got to find the width first. So we're going to set up a proportion to solve for the width. So we have 600 over 480 because that's our first model. And then 30 is our length here. To go from 600 to 30, well, I'm actually going to take away these zeros here because they both have a 0. So I'm going to rewrite this proportion to be 60 over 48 because I just divided that by 10, simplifying it. Is equal to something over 30. Well, to go from 60 to 30, I divide by 2. So 48, I'm going to divide by 2. I get 24. Now, the question here is, did I answer the question? The question says if Peter's scale model has a length of 30, what is the perimeter? Well, perimeter is when I add all of the side lengths here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add my side lengths. 30 plus 30 is 60. 24 plus 24 is 48. Well, 60 plus 48 gets me 108 centimeters. So his scale model, the perimeter, is really 108 centimeters. Okay. All right, Sally is driving from Fresno to another city in California. If the scale on the map is 1 inch is 145 miles, and where she's going is about 206 miles away, which city in California is she going to? So we're going to set up our proportion. We're talking inches to miles. I'm always going to start with the ratio I was given. Well, the ratio I was given was 1 inch is 145 miles. Okay, and we know we're going about 206 miles away. So that's a mile, so I'm going to put it on the denominator. So I can't go from 145 to 206, but I can go from 145 to 1 by dividing by 145. So I'm going to divide by 145 this way. So we have 206 divided by 145. Well, 145 goes into 206 one time. I get 145. Subtract 6 minus 5 is 1. I can't take 4 away from 0, so this becomes a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. I'm going to add a decimal point, and a 0 to bring down. So now I need to know how many times 145 will go into 610. So let's try 5. 145 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Put down the 5, carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22, carry the 2. 5 times 5 is 5, or 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Okay, that's too many. So let's see if I subtract 145 from this. If I tried 4 times, 5 minus 5 is 0. Borrow, this becomes a 6, and then this will be 12. 12 minus 4 is going to be 8. 6 minus 1 is 5. So that's 580. So I'm going to say 4 times works very nicely here. So 4 times 145 is 580. Subtract 0 minus 0 is 0. Borrow, this becomes a 5. This is 11. 11 minus 8 gets me 3. If I add another 0 and bring it down, 145 is going to go into 300 about 2 times. So that is going to be 90. Well, that gets me 10. But here on the map, it's asking which is closest. Well, there's one that's 1.42 inches. That's about what we have. So that looks like she is going to San Francisco is the city. Because remember, we said closest. So the closest would be this 1 and 42 hundredths on the map, and that is to San Francisco. All right, we have about 3 more. So it says triangles TUV and JKL are similar. Write 2 proportions that create equivalent side lengths between the 2 shapes. You must include all 3 side lengths between the 2 proportions. All right, first thing we're going to do is we are going to identify which sides match each other. So TU are the first 2 letters of this triangle. So TU must match with the first 2 letters of this triangle, which is JK. So side length TU matches with JK. You can also notice that it's between the angle that has 1 arc and the angle that has 2 arcs. Okay, so those are 2 side lengths that match. So now we have UV, which is the second and third letter. Well, that better match with the second and third letter here, which is KL. These are all side lengths that line up. And then we have VT, which is the third and the first letter, matching LV, which is the third and the first letter on the other one. So now that they are all lined up, I can create some proportions. So we're going to say TU, which is the first and the second letter. And let's do TV, which is the first and the third. So first and the second letter here is JK. And then first and third is JL. Well, does that make sense? TU is yellow. Does it match with JK? Yep. TV is blue. Does that match with, oops, I wrote JK twice when I meant to write JL. My bad. Does that match with JL? Yes, both of those are blue. Okay. You're always matching up the letters, the position of the letters. I don't really need the shape. I can truly just go off the letters. So I have UV, TU, and TV, and then we have JK and JL. All right, perfect. So that works. So now let's try UV. That's the second and third letter. And we'll match that with TU, okay? Second and third letter here is KL. And then the first and second letter is JK. So I'm saying UV, which is our orange line, does that match with KL? Yep, both of those are orange. TU, which is yellow, matches with JK. Okay, so again, you're watching the letters here. You're matching the first letter with the first letter, second letter with the second letter. That is how you write these proportions. Okay, the distance from the lantern ways to Cair Paravel is approximately 300 miles. A map uses a scale in which half an inch represents 25 miles. Find the measurement closest to the scale distance in inches between the lantern and waist and Cair Paravel on the map. So we always start with the ratio they gave us. And again, we're talking about inches to miles. We know half an inch is 25 miles. And then we're talking about 300 miles here. To go from 25 to 300, that would be times 12 because there's 4 25s per 100. So 4 to get to 100, 8 to get to 200, 12 to get to 300. So I need to multiply by 12 on the top, and 1/2 times 12 is 6. So the distance is going to be 6 inches. Okay, number 11, find the length of SB. Oh, well, this is a small part here, but that needs to match the large part with BU, okay? So I'm going to have to find this missing piece. This is going to be an extra step here. First things first, I'm going to redraw our triangles. So we have T, S, and U. From T to U, that's this whole length. Well, 18 plus 6 is 24, so T to U is 24. And then I know that this tall part is 12. And then we have our smaller triangle, which is CUB. From C to U is 6, and I don't know what BU is, so that's going to be X for now. So I'm going to set up my proportion. We're comparing the bottom to the bottom, so we have 12 over 24, which is the side and the bottom, is equal to X over 6. To go from 24 to 6, I would divide by 4. So here I'm going to divide by 4, and X is equal to 3. So that tells me BU is 3. But the question I asked for is the length of SB. It's not BU. Well, SB is this small part here. Well, if this length is 3 and the whole length is 12, that would mean 12 minus 3 gets me 9. So the length of SB is 9. Please make sure you look over your notes and any other practices, and that will help you on your test.